Alright, so I'll talk about ramp on this video. I have some notes here, that's why I'm looking at the other monitor the whole time so I don't forget things. So, on ramp. So the first thing you guys need to do is you need to buy like DHE, okay? DHE is very important because it is, like it's a closed thing, you know, it's very shallow kind of thing, kind of positioning, so with an HE it does a lot, right? And the reason why you don't want another flash is because mostly you're going to be playing alone, and even when you're not, you're never going to be the one that's flashing someone else, but rather getting the one flashed into something. So, besides retakes, of course, that may change, but overall, that's probably not going to happen. So, early round. So, Nuke, ramp on Nuke is played in three ways. So, there's early round. So, you decide what utility to throw. What does this mean? So, like, let's say we're versus ship eyes, anti-rush utility. So, smoke and HE, and swing. This is versus ship eyes, of course. If we don't want to throw it, or we don't think they're rushing ramp or whatever, we like versus normal buys. Just a molo, we can use it, or a smoke, or even an HE. We can throw that. The HE may be a little like too little, but I guess we can play around with it. If we do our jobs right, if we throw in an HE in these rounds, and we've been playing well so far, it shouldn't be a problem. But be careful if you throw an HE and they haven't rushed yet, and it's like round 3 or something, and you could be fucked. So be careful about that. Always make sure the rounds before how you played them, and it should be okay. So yeah, that's the thing we do. So let's talk first about the ship eyes, so the anti-rush utility. So the best thing you need to do is this, okay? You throw the smoke and the HE, and then you swing. Okay, if you do this, like if they rush, they'll be super slow, and like you'll just see them a mile away, and just make sure you cross and you kill them. You know, it should be easy, and that's fine. So this is the early thing versus ship eyes, versus like if you don't want to throw it the molo in the smoke, you can just throw the smoke. Sometimes it's very important that versus whenever you think they're rushing, you throw the smoke and the HE and you swing, okay? Because of what I just said. If you don't think they're going to do that, you can always like throw the only the smoke or the HE or the molo. That's up to you, you know. And you throw it the same way, either like that or like that, or like that too. Maybe the HE needs to be a little farther ahead, but you get the point, right? And that's fine. Right, if you throw the molo, I just was reading the notes, I almost forgot. If you throw the molo at the HE, you need to be like behind this, okay? And just holding. You can go like this, or you can even go on top. Just be careful about the flashes, but it should be okay. But that's early round. That's early round taken care of. Remember, smoke HE, anti-rush, swing. Take care of it. If you throw a smoke or an HE or a molo early round, and that's it, just come behind this little like box. There's the railing, so you can do this, right? You could or not go on top of this box. That's up to you. That's probably best if you stay behind. Okay, so now let's talk about mid rounds. Right, mid round is it's kind of the same thing, but there's a different thing. So mid round you play for utility or you play for off angles, and this is pretty much common in like every single fucking map, right? That's easy. If you play on Mirage on B, it's the same thing. So it doesn't change because it's Nuke. It just changes the angles and the utility you throw basically and how you react. So how do you play with utility on mid round? So you can play here. I don't know the utility, so I'm sorry about that, but you do something like this. So you watch the little crack somewhere. So it's like this. Watch the little crack, and you basically, like when you see someone, you just throw the smoke, it bounces off of that. I think it's right there. Yeah, that's fine. And you just, like, if you think they're gonna push, you can always get on top of the box and just shoot them, and you're fine. And you can do the same thing with the molly if it goes away. It's slightly different, the Molotov, so it's more on the right because you don't want it to do this, because that's too far away. But you want to do it. You want to do something like this, because it prevents them from coming. So if they come out, like, they need to stop here and not there. You know, it's a big difference, right? Because they see you. So that's the two ways you can play mid round with utility. And the third way is you can do this. You can jiggle, etc. And just throw the chi once you see someone and you drop down. As soon as you throw the chi though, you need to go down like immediately, you know. And how to play like later, I will soon talk about it. And then the off angles. So the off angles you have are these ones. This is the most common one. So you do something like this. So in the middle of this box, you just hug like this. You just use this like between these two. It's not a like specific science or anything. Just remember to have your crosshair like this. And the reason why this off angle is so good is because, one, no one checks you, and the flashes that pop like behind you, you know. So you're fine. You always get one or two before they even see you, so you're fine. So that's one off angle. The other off angle is here. So let me check if I have it right. So something like this. So the important bit is you watch like this crack, okay? So you have time to check them coming, and then you put your crosshair right there in the middle of these two things, okay? You kill this guy and then you drop down, okay? After you drop down, how to play, I'll talk about soon, but yeah, this is all the off angles that you're seeing are called like full commitment. So you're going to get the kill, and either you're gonna get the kill and die, or die, right? So it's not much you can do, right? So here you just get the kill, you take a shot, and then you go out. Here it's kind of the same thing. If you feel like you have time, you can also just, you know, come here and then surprise them from here, but that's a different thing. Usually what you're gonna do in these angles specifically, like that one, there's not much you can do, but on this one specifically, that you're on top of the rail, you can just drop down, right? But depending on how you feel about the game, maybe you can do little things like coming on top, etc. Now this other angle that I showed is like, if you play that one a lot, so if you play this one a lot, they're gonna pre-fire you most likely, so you can just play this one instead, so you don't get pre-fired and you surprise your opponent, right? So it's really not like scientific thing either. It's just get this thing like around here, so it covers pretty much all your body, and just aim ahead level and you should be fine, right? I like to keep a little like gap, because in case I miss, you know, because they will clear this angle first, the common one right there, right? And then if you play on this one that you're using the crack on, they'll clear that one first, and then you'll be able to see him at that point. So, but if for some reason he doesn't do that and he rushes, for example, it's important for me at least that it's a little higher, bigger gap, so you have time to correct and potentially get the kill, even if he rushes, you know. So that's the other thing. Right, so this is what I say. This is what I said. Like this one, remember, you just need to fall down. The other two are kind of more like one and done. Right, so am I missing now? Okay, this one I talked about. Alright, so now late round. Late round is more so like, again, you play more for retaking. So late round, we play more for retaking or for off angles again. Okay. So we can play for off of utility too, but that goes into a little more in depth, and I don't think it's necessary. Basically, utility is like if you have a smoke here, for example, you drop down, you think they're coming, you can always like drop a smoke somewhere, and then you can have like play with the gaps. But after this, then you can do something else, right? Right, let that smoke just run out, and I'll talk about soon. I'll have time to read on this anyway. So late round. So this is how I like to do it. So retaking is just going into the glass. So as a ramp player, what you want to do is, like, you're not defending a bomb site, right? That's the first thing you need to understand, is that you're not defending a bomb site. But because you're so lonely, if you die for whatever reason and you're not competent at defending the bomb site, we're kind of fucked, you know, because then like this is like a highway with no toll booths, you know, everyone just goes in, there's no cops, so everyone just speeds, you know, and it's an open site, and we don't want that. So we need to be very careful. Although we're not defending the bomb site, we're like the guardian of the ramp, right? So, and because of how the map works, like in a few seconds, depending on your teammate's positioning, they're right there to help you. That's why you always kill one or drop utility and then back off, okay? You don't want to do more than you should, okay? So again, late round we play retaking. So usually what we want to do is just go into the glass and just secure like this area and this area, because if we do this, the guys that are rotating from A through vent or into secret, they have all of this secured, right? And it's easier to retake as well. If the T's take the site and they don't have like single door control, they don't have windows, I don't know what you guys call this, I think it's admin, right? I know. If they don't have like single doors, double doors, I mean, it is very hard to play after plant, because there's only a few, there's a lot of positions they can play, but it's often like open, right? So everything you see here, like, is completely open, right? Anyone that peeks from single door or double doors or something, they can clear most of this, right? So it's a lot easier if we have single doors. So what the T's are going to do is they're probably going to smoke off all of these things if they have utility for it, which they should. And then like they could smoke this as well, or they could not and just keep this. But usually what happens is they smoke all of these, and then they also try to molly behind double doors as well. So it should be a little deeper. I just missed it because of the smoke, but they try to do that because if they're planting, if they're coming to plant, it is very important that there's no idiot here, okay? So this is very necessary to, as a T. Even if you do smoke, I think it's always better if you just molly that, just in case there's a guy there, he opens his door and just kills your planter, you know? So that's the reason. And also again, like if you play there as a ramp player, as a retaking player, it's just easier to retake because your teammates have an easier time to rotate into that position. And then the whole retake process is just way simpler, you know? Especially if they don't throw these things. If they don't have utility, be careful, because what they're going to do is they're going to push you, you know? If you're playing retaking here, they are going to push you because they know you need to die, you know? Because they can't plant if you're not. So that's the other thing to think about. So this is what I say, like how you should play retake wise in ramp. But the other thing you could do, like off angles, you have two angles. So you have this one. So something like this. Why is this good? If your teammates are quick enough, they can like open the door and watch stack cross. That's okay. And they can also go here if they have time, but that's probably risking it, right? But you can play there if your teammates are quick enough. If you don't think so, like this, if you don't think so, the safest thing is just go glass and just give time and etc. It's easier. But if you want to change it up too, you can do this, okay? Just remember to do this, like line up this wall with the door and just put your crosshair a little to the right. If someone comes up top and there's no one watching, that may be a problem. But you always kill this one too first. Usually these guys are the guys that come right there. So it depends on how you guys are playing, right? So it may work well, but preferably if you play in these angles, it's best if you have a teammate like in those areas to look, you know. The other angle you have is the more open angle, which is something like this. And this, if they come towards here, and it's the safest out of the two, if they come from these positioning, this place, if you're holding here, like it's 2 seconds and you're right there holding, so they're never going to be looking here, you know. No one does this. No one does this. So what are they going to be doing is just looking there, and then you can just, you know, kill them. And you, or if they go like in dodge you always have time to react, adapt, and then you can just swing out and try to kill them, you know, so you're fine. Right, so that's late round. Really, there's not really much else to say. The other thing, and this is a little tricky, I don't know the utility, but I know this is the thing that you can do. So let's say this is an aggressive player on ramp. If any of the Serenity guys that are watching that I'm coaching, this is not what we did, but I want to do this because it's something new I learned, and well, it will work well. As you see, we have all aggressive plays as well on our team, but it's not as cool as this. Let's say it's more basic. So what you do is early round you do like the smoke or the mollo, whatever you want, right? And then you get close. You clear, etc. You're fine. The thing you do after is you get your teammate ready. Let me see if I can figure out the flash. So I believe it's here. Then it's, where is it? There? No, I think it's, no. Here? No. Okay. I don't remember. Is that? Okay, it's here. Okay, so let's go again. So it's, you have these 4 lines. It's the one on the right, as right as possible, and then you put in the middle of that on the very top. Then you put your crosshair right there in the middle, like in the bottom of this frame or whatever this is called, and you just jump through. So what this is going to look like is something like you're gonna smoke, you're gonna go anti-flash, you swing out, and then you have your teammate ready with the flash, and then as soon as you're ready and you ask your teammate to throw the flash, you're gonna have a mollo out, and as soon as he flashes, you throw your mollo. So it's gonna look something like this. So you say flash, he flashes, you push, and you do this, okay? And what's going to happen is these guys, if anyone's here, they're all gonna be white, okay? And they can't be here, so you're fine, and you just took control of this for free, right? It's a nice little play that I found out, and well, it will work really well, right? So now, if you're playing a setup with another player, with an op or something, with an op it's simple, just use the off angles, you know. It's important that whoever is the guy that's spotted first is the ramp guy, because obviously they will know, like if it's not, they'll know that there's another guy missing. So I wouldn't mind if you guys trade weapons in that round, but you can do something like so you can do something like this, like the op is here somewhere holding a little more closed, this guy's in an off angle, and then he just peeks off of him, or vice versa, you know. But I think with an op you don't really need to do that. So it's fine if you guys just hold and then the guy's in an off angle, for example. But if you have two rifles though, you really need to, whoever is like boosted here, for example, needs to be the guy that's not the ramp player, because obviously, like I said, they will see if they killed the ramp player. Okay, there may or may not be another guy, but if the guy that gets killed around here first that is not the ramp player, he knows there's a guy missing, and they will like go to hell on earth to just find the other guy because they know he's here, right? So the other thing you can do is like having a guy here behind orange box, just hiding, really. Like you can do this like boosting here, you can do a guy here, an off angle, something like this. But this is always, remember, the afterthought guy, you know? Like the +1, that's not the ramp player. So the orange box or here, like the ramp player can play the same way as he was, and then he surprises them. Or you can just play off angles with each other and just set up crossfire, so that's fine. The other thing that I think I forgot to mention is if you drop down after the off angles or something and you play here, the best thing you need to do, or if you think they're going to drop down like immediately towards B, is playing in the middle of nowhere. Okay, now this looks very dumb, and it is if they don't go B immediately. Okay, because if they do, they can show up from that point, and they will obviously take their time. They will have time to clear stuff, etc. Right? But if they don't, and they just start rushing B, they'll just do this. Okay, they'll just jump or something, and then they'll get killed because they have no accuracy, right? So that's the reason why you can play here. Okay. If they instead don't rush and they take like ramp, they wait, and then they can peek from the other things, then it's when it's more risky. Then I think, in my opinion, I think it's best if you like use a smoke and play with the one way instead. That was terrible. Jesus, man, I will never do that again, even if I want to. So you can play with the like you can throw a smoke on the floor and just play with the one way instead. You know, I think that will work out really well. And yeah, that's really it. Like you can always play dark, etc. But again, if you play in these positions that you're hidden, it's best if you have like a teammate holding. You know, that's already around you to be able to help you. Let me see if I missed anything. Yeah, I think I didn't. I don't think I did. So the smokes early, mid, late. Yeah, that's fine. One thing I noticed is this. Okay, so there's a bug with this box. Maybe because of this shit, and it's not a bug, it's intended. But man, if you're watching, you can get on top of this with a normal crouch jump. You know. You don't need to be boosted. You don't need to come here and do this. You can just boop, you know. So that's a little tip for you. Anyway, hope that helps.